Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What If Nothing Is Wrong With You. I am Paula D. Atkinson.
I am Lisa K.
And this is our friend Nameka. Today, we are going to talk about binary thinking, which Lisa just reminded us is in the stars, is in the cosmos, because everything is opposite right now in the stars and in the planets. And it's also opposite on this podcast constantly because I am an Aquarius and Lisa is a Leo. So it's good. It's good to mix it all together and say yes to all of it. So we'll get into all of that when we get past our chit chat. So Lisa, what did you want to bring up today in chit chat?
I wanted to talk about the famous last words interview with Jane Goodall, who it is now October 8th. So if you want to know when in the cosmos we were talking about this, Jane Goodall died on October 1st, which seems very interesting given like all the Cosmo things.
Totally.
And the full moon this month was about like completion. But she did this interview that I thought that basically they taped it, I think, in March, and they promised not to air it till she was gone. It was taped. Amazing. There was one interviewer, and it was taped by robots. There was no camera crew. Like nobody could access or leak the information. And then at the end, the interviewer leaves so she can talk to us and say whatever she wants to say, and nobody can know until she's dead. So she could literally say anything.
Get it, Jane.
So I watched it. What I'm finding a little bit sad is when I see there's like clips on my TikTok and on my Instagram, and there are all these clips of this like 2-sentence thing she said about the world leaders she's mad at, which I know, okay, not shocking. But she talked. So I haven't followed her work that extensively. I haven't read her books. She was deeply spiritual and like talked all about her relationship with death, her kind of how she views her soul evolution. And the thing, I mean, it's worth watching just for that. She also was hilarious about her marriages. I will not spoil.
So funny.
So funny.
So funny.
It was hilarious. But because what we're going to talk about today is black and white thinking, and what I see in my clients all the time is this: when they come to a decision point, and it's like, what's the right thing to do? What am I supposed to do that's right? And it's what she explains, and she says it over and over, is like, we are all here to do certain things, learn certain things, and like the task is to be you. So there is no right thing, and it's like. And so I really loved like the many different ways that she talked about that, and kind of this permission that she's giving around like, we're not all going to be, if you're striving to be like good or get it right by someone else's standards, and it's like, and part of how we'll go back to the chit chat, but it does kind of connect that part of how Paul and I came to be doing this episode was there was something we didn't agree on. I think it was something about the loneliness thing. We later talked about it. Maybe we do agree, as often happens. But this idea that like, if I appoint Paula or anyone and I say, oh, she's more wise than me, she's more evolved, blah, blah, blah. Like, we have to let each other also be different, because like if I go try to live Paula's life, I'm going to miss like the side quests or like whatever that I need to do to live my life, which may have a ripple effect out and may have. And so I feel like I always just want to sit with people and Paula, you taught me this about the like, what do you want? And being connected to our feelings. That is how we like. If you believe in this spiritual framework, which I kind of do, or it's also the Joseph Campbell idea of like following your bliss, like any of it, the artist's way, whatever.
Totally.
But it's so liberating to not have to be doing it right. And if you don't believe
There's no such thing.
You might consult with Jane Goodall in her famous last words interview on Netflix. I found it to be a bit of an experience to watch. So
Obsessed. Yes. Great. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for all you did, Jane. I mean, I feel like there's so many incredible rad people that we have lost I'll start with David Bowie and then after that, right? I just feel like, and all of these people taught us over and over and over that like, there's no such thing as right. There's no such thing as wrong. And I know you and I both talk about this, that we'll have clients and they're afraid to allow themselves to come to a conclusion because about something that they want or about something that they know, because then that means that they have to do it right and they have to make a decision and they have to take an action and all of this like rightness and wrongness. So we're going to get into all of that today. Yeah.
Great.
And there's nothing to do. There's nothing to achieve other than being who you are. The achievement of a lifetime is being who you are. That's what Joseph Campbell said.
Yeah, I just wrote that. It was Carl Jung, actually. I was quoting that in my Joseph Campbell basically was quoting Carl Jung all the time. But anyway, I was just writing an essay about that today, so I was looking up that quote.
I love that. So my recommendation, my chit chat, is from September 28th until the end of October. There's 1 billion people who have birthdays, because did you know that there are more Libras than any other astrological person on the planet? Everybody makes babies at Christmas time, obviously, or at
New Year's,
between Christmas and Valentine's Day, everybody makes all the babies. So that's why there's so many people in Libra. So I love buying people presents. It's a fabulous thing to do. I, like most of you, probably hate capitalism, but I like buying people's presents. So I don't know if everybody knows about all the wondrous places online that you can go and you can buy art made by real humans that is so much more fun to give as gifts. So like my all-time favorite is Redbubble, because that has the most like gay, queer, drag queen, RuPaul, Chappell Roan related content. But Society 6 is great. Zatista is one. These are all websites. Zatista is one where you can buy like actual art, like art for your walls. And then I just have never said it on here, but I want to scream from the rooftops that I love Etsy so much. And I love going on Etsy, and I love buying crap from weird witches on Etsy who are like spend their days obviously like braiding leather or whatever. I don't know. They're all doing such incredible things, and I love them. So the next time you have to buy a present for someone, I know it requires a little bit more forethought, because you can't just go on Amazon and I'm not disparaging that or shaming anybody for doing that. Of course, we all live very, very busy lives. But to go on Etsy and like you can put in the most. Lisa, for your birthday last year, I was like,
I got a Star Wars thing. It was so cool.
I was like, your handle is the Lisa K's. Somebody has to make something that's Star Wars related where I can have it in Star Wars writing. It's like the most random thing that you can think of. Like my friend last year, I was going to the Joni Mitchell concert. She wasn't able to go. I felt so bad for her. So I was like, I need a Joni Mitchell tote bag. Well, wouldn't you know, on Etsy, Redbubble, and Society 6, there were so many Joni Mitchell tote bags to choose from. So it's just a lovely way to like buy something and support an artist, and it's so much more fun shopping on places like that. So please, the next time you're going to buy somebody a present, I hope you will remember that people are making cool shit and you can buy it. It's like a weird vintage market on your computer all the time.
And it does, I will say, I did not know what you were going to talk about. Behind me, this tapestry is Society 6.
Yes.
And they made, I don't have them in my office anymore. I have them at home, but they have improv sayings as artwork that used to be the decor in my office.
Oh, I remember.
Now they're at home.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all Society 6. I love them. They're so, and it does feel different to buy something that you know that like a human made.
Yes.
It's so lovely. I just got David decals for Halloween for like some anime thing from Etsy, and it came, he opened it up and he was like, oh look, she wrote me a note. This is so sweet.
I know. I love it when they write a note. Yay. I love that. I've gotten Nemeka so many things. It's just so much more fun. When we were moving here, I wanted a picture of Palm Springs to be our shower curtain, because our tiny bathroom in Washington, D.C., you sat on the toilet and looked at the shower curtain. So I was like, Carlo and I can both be manifesting using our will. So I found the most amazing, that somebody made some picture of Palm Springs turned into a shower curtain. That helped my manifestation. That helped my witchcraft. It was amazing.
So, I love it. I feel like you can go a long way with your witchcraft on Etsy. Like you can just go really far.
So far.
It's not going to go far on Amazon, but I think it will go far on Etsy.
It's so true. And sometimes now I've gotten to the point where, like, if I think of something that I want, I will go on Etsy first. And maybe they're just reselling something that they found on Amazon, but it still makes me feel better.
Yeah, or eBay. I do a lot of eBay because I'm trying not to add things to the landfills
To the
and
world.
like getting
Yes.
something that's been at
love
least
eBay.
previously owned. And
Yes.
that's fun too. And books on thrift books, because then I mean, I feel sometimes if I
Thrift
want to give money
books.
to the author, I don't do that. But like if the author's dead or
Yes.
whatever, I'm like, who cares?
Right.
So fun.
Look at this is my, of course, I have a Miss Piggy phone case, obviously. So, yeah, you can find so much more fun things other than shit at Target, since we're not going to Target, or some of us are not going to Target.
And maybe this episode will air before Christmas. Maybe not.
Oh yeah, maybe
If
not.
not, next Christmas. Keep this in
Next
mind.
Christmas, birthdays, yeah, totally, whatever. Okay, here we go. Let's get into it. Binary black and white thinking. This is what I was thinking before. What I want is for you to listen to this episode and then move throughout your world and your life and your internal experience of existence in a vibration of being lovingly suspicious of your own binary thinking. Because once you recognize that you're doing it, then you realize that you're probably always doing it. And then you really are like, oh, I'm doing it right now. Oh my God, I'm doing it right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
that's what I want.
Let's start then with the ways. Paula knows I write this huge outline every time and then I don't use it anyway. It's a whole thing. But let's just start with why we all do it. Because what we wanted to talk about first was the ways that we are trained into binary thinking. And I think one of the easiest ways that, like, there's nothing wrong with you if you're a binary thinker, if you're a black and white thinker. I am a hardcore black and white thinker. Like, I have to work very hard to undo that in my mind. There is nothing wrong with you. And I think one of the easiest ways to understand that, like, our education is brought up in binary thinking. We get very, like, whitewash takes on all educational figures, on all historical figures. It's like, I'm reading right now Mandela's, I think it's The Long Walk Home. I've been reading it for like 5 years. I read it in 3-page increments. But like,
Totally.
you know, we get taught of Mandela and MLK as these, oh, they were all nonviolent. No, they weren't. Like, there was a point where Mandela was like, guys, we might have to go ask for some, we may have to do this another way. But we don't get taught that. And then we don't have to grapple with it in classrooms. And if you look at our art, what I think about is that a lot of American literature, and especially our movies and pop, it's like, it's handed to you. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. It's not hard. It's like villain. And you almost get seduced into what I've noticed is that, like, because somebody has been talking about Titanic and how actually Rose was kind of terrible in Titanic if you look at her behavior.
Awful.
But so what they can do is get us to accept bad behavior because you're like, but she's the good guy. And it's almost a hypnotic, like, oh, I guess maybe I'm wrong if I think that's bad behavior. I guess whatever, which is the point, by the way. But when you read like I discovered that when I started deliberately reading fiction by Black women, or when you read fiction from especially Arab fiction or fiction from other cultures, I was almost dizzy reading my first book by a Black woman because I was like, I don't know who's the good guy. I'm not being spoon-fed. Wait, I have to think about specific behavior and decide. Limited. Like, we are just inundated. And there's never a good guy, guys. There's never a bad guy. It's never that easy. But we want to think it is, and we are trained that way. So that is why there's nothing wrong with you. Is there more to be said about that?
I love that. I would just like to say for the record that the hero of The Little Mermaid is Ursula. We all know it. She is actually the victim of the whole thing. She's just trying. She was given the woman what she's given the dumb white. She was given Taylor Swift what she wants, and then she gets told that she's the bad guy, mostly because she's fat and unattractive. But like that, that was the thing that we watched when I was a kid. And then the older I got, and the more I watched it, I'm like, Ursula's the hero of the story.
Yeah, well, look at Wicked.
She gave her the
Wicked.
Yes,
like all,
totally.
If you read Darth Vader's backstory, and I just read the backstory for the Hunger Games, which that one is even more. But like any villain, any good person has it's all, but we are not shown that. And we are not allowed, the way our stories are presented. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode on that Little Mermaid thing, because I have not yet analyzed that I'm like, what is she even talking
Ursula
about?
is the hero. She gives Ariel what she wants. Ariel's the dipshit that asks for it. Ursula just gives it to her, and then that's how she actually learns the lesson. So isn't Ursula the good witch?
Yeah.
Isn't she the positive force in this whole thing? Ariel's just a awful dumb bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all matters, like who's presenting the information, how do you see it? And once you start looking for this, I mean, it's not super fun because everything becomes profoundly complicated and you can't just blindly love things. And I mean, but it is, I think also we're going to talk about how it's also liberating. But it's not
super liberating.
our fault. And the reason that we are told stories this way, I wrote like a list. I'm not going to say them all, but to make a culture black and white thinkers, to make people black and white thinkers, we are easier to control. It makes you dependent on authoritarian leaders and on people to tell you what to do, which means that the system
and what to think
can tell you what to do. And I don't know if Paula knows this. I discovered this today while I was working on this essay. I went back to Tima Okun's work about, which is white supremacy culture and there's only one right way idea. She says the reason that white supremacy culture wants you to believe that there is only one right way is so that when you are not behaving the way that it wants you to, it can tell you there is something wrong with you.
Always.
I mean,
mic drop.
It's in the essay. It's in the essay. It's right there.
It's right there.
And when you believe something is wrong with you, you are highly controllable, malleable. You can, disregard racist Taylor Swift lyrics and tell yourself that you're sure she didn't mean it, which I did on TTBT, and am now realizing that was incorrect. I can admit I'm wrong. See, many things are true at once.
But all these things are true at the same time.
It's so many things. But yeah.
It's like I thought of us the other day, and Nemeka will probably know which anime it is, like the one where it's the meme of the guy like looking at a butterfly, and it's like, is this blah blah blah. It said like completely valid reactions to capitalism, authoritarianism, and fascism, and then it's and then the guy is like psychotherapist, and they're looking at the butterfly, and the butterfly says, "Is this a mental illness?" And it's like, no, these are perfectly valid reactions, blah blah blah. Exactly.
Yes. And have you seen? I think it's Dr. Jess Taylor has written a DSM that actually is like the pathologizing of the pathology instead, because like now we have moral injury, which is basically a way of saying that like if you have morals, there's something wrong with you, and like that's a pathology.
I love that.
So she's done an inverse of the DSM, as if we actually held the moral values as like wellness.
I love.
And the opposite. I don't know. It's very interesting, but yeah.
Love. So you have some definitions that maybe people don't know. I mean, I think people know what ambivalence is, but perhaps they don't know what ambivalence is from a mental health standpoint.
Yes. So ambivalence it's the Daniel Tiger, I can have two feelings at the same time. There's a song, and if you're a parent, you know the song. But ambivalence is the state of having mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about something or someone. And I will tell you, I was raised to be such a black and white thinker that one of the good things, there were many problematic things about my therapy, which I've talked about, and I can acknowledge there were also good things. One of them was that I was introduced to the idea of ambivalence, which I did not know existed. I literally was like, I'm sorry. And I have clients that I explain the concept to, and they're like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? And I'm like, there's a middle. It's not always black and white. It's not always this or that. There's a middle. There's complexity, many things. And I literally...
Nuance.
My mind was blown. I was like, that's allowed? People do that? Because I was not raised in an environment or with people where anyone did that. And I was very educated, loved playing with ideas, very like into books and literature. Right. And it took me years to be like, explain it to me again. Tell me again.
Isn't that wild? It's wild because like I can get into so many, but like babies feel ambivalence. Like babies are, they don't know what the word is, but they like hate their mother and love their mother at the same time. They're like, it's a thing that exists. And like for the culture, and we'll talk about it more, but like for the culture in the society to indoctrinate us to such a point that they like are like, no, no, no. You've never felt that way. You've never felt two things at once ever. Look over there. Look over there. It's really wild.
It's not complicated. You mean people can be good and bad at this? Wait, I was like, wait a minute. Stop. Hold on.
Shocking.
Tell me again.
Shocking. I just had this experience a couple of years ago. I was with a group of therapists, and I was telling this story about how my mom shit the bed this one time. And the therapist was like, wait, I thought your mom was, such a good mother. And I'm like, she was.
We call that good
more
enough.
questions?
We call that the good enough mother. Or do you remember that day
Are there
in
more
school?
questions?
What's going on?
Do you have more questions, or I don't know where you got lost. So interesting, so fascinating. Okay,
Wow.
great. And then and that's ambivalence, and then cognitive dissonance, which I feel like people have heard, but maybe they don't know what the specific definition is.
Well, and I think so. I had to look it up too. Is the mental discomfort, which is very interesting to understand in the times that we are living in now. It is mental discomfort. Your brain hurts, or psychological stress. It's actually stress that is caused when a person holds two or more contradictory ideas, beliefs, or values at the same time, or when their beliefs contradict with their actions. So what happens as a result of cognitive dissonance is that I feel like I experienced this, when you experience and you're like, that person is doing an awful lot of mental gymnastics to rationalize something that I am clearly able to see is not the right thing, and that I think they know is not the right. Like, they're really working hard to rationalize. People are doing this about the Taylor Swift album right now. It's all just going to come back. But it's like, because they can't hold in their mind, like, I love Taylor Swift. I've loved her for decades. And this album is absolute trash garbage. They can't do the and so they have to like come up with, and it also creates this sense that we suppress ourselves. The mental work of it's like, I don't want to hold both ideas, so that's where we pick, oh, that's good and that's bad, and a deep part of me knows it's more complicated than that. So I'm going to suppress myself, and I might tell you to shut up, and I might tell you to shut up, and I'm going to make things really black and white and simple because I don't want to deal with that anxiety. Like, I don't want to deal with the mental discomfort of reorganizing my brain.
Right.
Yeah. And it's important to understand that it's stress that people are offloading.
Yes. Well, I was thinking that like black and white thinking, I think in the past episodes that I talked about it from the standpoint of like the worship of consistency for consistency's sake. And that's the same thing, right? That like, wait, but I am a Taylor Swift fan, so I must love her album, even though it's fucking terrible, right? And it's like that worship of consistency. I felt like that when Joanne came out. Anybody else Lady Gaga fans? Now I love Joanne. But when it first came out, I was like, no, I can't not like this. I have to make myself like this.
Yeah. And it's
now I actually do like it. But it's the consistency thing. Like, I have to be consistent. No, you don't. Who said? Where is that a requirement?
And it's how we can get led to do things that are like against our values. It's how when the like January, February, people started saying, can we just get to the fascism? Can we just get to the pure authoritarianism? Because that part, this part where we have to like work out right and wrong. It's like, I just want someone to tell me what to do and make it so I can't be a good guy. Like that's just going to be, that's the wish to get away from the cognitive dissonance of like, I daily have to decide, do I go do this? Do I go do that? The uncertainty of it. It's like, I don't know, and sometimes like, you'll see people, that's when people get mad in a group at the person who's trying to fight the bully. It's like, just let it go. Just let it go. Oh my God, just make it stop. And it's like, well, that's not, because they want to get rid of the conflict.
Right. When Elon Musk just did the Nazi salute, I was like, oh, well, thank God. Like, let's just get to it. Like, let's not be in this middle place of like, maybe he's not that bad.
Right.
There's a little bit of relief in that.
Yeah. It's many things are true at once.
Okay. Love all of those definitions. I think that's very helpful. And now I'm going to get super woo-woo on you. So the way I think about binary thinking, right, is a mental illness. It is a mental illness because it is the belief in something that does not exist. It is, like we talked about in the Boomer episode, it is a collective delusion, right? It is a colonial, puritanical, collective delusion. It is the denial of the truth of the universe. Because the universe is nothing but nuance and relativity and, right? And that's all what Einstein said. Like, it's all relative, literally everything. And yet we are indoctrinated to look at the world through this like black, white, good, bad, all day long bullshit. And that's why it's painful, and that's why it's a mental illness. So believing in lies is always painful. And so when we're taught to create these absolutes in an effort to feel safe, but it's actually not to feel safe, it's so that they can control us. When no absolutes actually exist in nature, in the universe, is you're actually creating more fear. So you're creating an anxiety state that then you have to cure with more absolute thinking. But you created the absolute thinking in the first place by creating the black and white thinking. Like, there's no there. You doing it right now. Like, it's a closed loop. So nothing in nature is binary. Not even death. There is a little in between being alive, like as your body is leaving. There's a little in between like, being pregnant. You're not pregnant and then you are pregnant. There is a little bit in between. Like, everything has nuance. Everything has gray. And we want so badly for there not to be any, but that's just not real. And then we get so comfortable in it that we demand it, but actually it is the thing that's making you uncomfortable. It like you said, like it's a little uncomfortable at first, but then when you lean in, it's so much more liberating. It's so much more relaxing because to believe in lies is painful. Does that all make sense?
Yes, but I wish to open an Etsy store and put believing in lives is painful on a bag and sell it. Can you explain more about, because I think intuitively in everyone's body, everybody just went, oh, that's true. Can you explain that more though?
So, yeah, I forget what I said this about weeks ago or months ago or a year ago, whatever, what is time? But like whenever you believe in something that does not match the actual truth of the universe, it doesn't align with it's like, so the truth, the universe is both infinite and expanding. That's a paradox, bitch. That's what's true. So you trying to put black and white absolutes onto something into the universe when the universe is mirroring back to you. No, girl, it's all a paradox, right? There's no absolutes. There's no good. There's no bad. There's no black. There's no white. So you're trying to project your belief in absolutes into the universe. But like the universe is like, okay, well, that's not true. So you're just going to suffer because that's what suffering is trying to project something that's false onto something that's like hugely nuanced and weird and nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I think yes. And I think like it made me think of what I think I've said before on this podcast also is like, it's the difference between someone who's in a really painful, or even if we want to say destructive, whatever words we want to use, relationship.
Yeah.
And that person is believing there's something wrong with me and this relationship would work if only I could fix what was wrong with me.
Or they would fix
That is
this.
very different than them having clarity about like, oh, I am also being treated badly. I'm reacting to that in this way. There are also these, and that like, it's not about whether the person leaves, stays, whatever.
Sure.
It's about like holding all of these different things and like being clear and not lying to yourself.
Yes.
And this comes up with like addiction. It's like, you know, keep smoking, keep doing whatever you want to do.
Sure.
But like, can you be honest with yourself about the cost that's having or the benefits it's giving you? And then you can stop feeling bad about it or like whatever. But like getting, and it's layers of clarity. That's the like many things are true at once. And it's like, but it's the rigidity holding on to like, no, I love smoking. I'm going to keep smoking forever. And you tell me not to. And it's like, oh my God, that's like painful.
Yes.
And like, no, you know, and it's like, there's many layers in all of that.
Or
can
we're all going
be
to
true.
die and you like smoking sometimes.
You can
and
do
sometimes you
want.
hate yourself for smoking and sometimes, right? Like, that which is true of
like,
all of us all the time. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, this is the other thing I want to make sure I say is like, so it's like white nationalism, Christianity. I'll put those in quotes because Jesus was not into any of this. The indoctrination is the binary thinking, right? And so all day long, I say to my clients, binaries are a lie. Binaries are a lie. All binaries are a lie. All day long, right? So the training that we get in white supremacist school, which we call just school in our country, is constant. It's this constant stream of judging. It's like all day long. And you have talked about this, Lisa, right? Like all day long, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. All
Kids
day.
who sit still are good. Kids who wiggle are bad.
Right. All day long. And then they come to us and they're like, I don't know why I'm riddled with an anxiety disorder. It's like, well, you're judging yourself and others constantly. So that's the like the overlay. And so I like to think of it as like, that's the tune that is put into our brain. And then we get different lyrics as we go throughout life. So I was just talking to a friend of mine who has a boomer white mother who it was, part of her lyrics was fat, thin, right? Good food, bad food. That's a very common lyrics for this, binary thinking. Good food, bad food. Good. If I'm good if I'm exercise, I'm bad if I don't exercise. I'm good if I'm thin, I'm bad if I'm fat, blah, 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 blah. And then her mother got cancer and then went through treatment and is doing great but now it has like different lyrics. So now everything is cancer causing or not cancer causing. So on top of the fat and thin thing too, like she's a boomer white lady, she's not getting rid of that. But now we've added another layer and some more lyrics to the same tune of the binaries. Now it's like, oh, she can't, which is fine. Like you're allowed to do whatever you want and you're allowed to do what you can to prevent cancer. But like there's no nuance. There's no nuance. There's no expansion. There's no ability to be like, oh, but this brings me pleasure, so I'm just going to do it because who the fuck cares, right? Like there's no ability.
Well, right. And maybe life isn't worth living or preventing cancer if I take out all the pleasure. Like
you're going to live
so long. It's very
great.
Yeah.
And
it's like, I mean, there's complicated.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot in there. Like, what's the point of living if you don't enjoy anything anymore?
Right.
I mean, like, tell you what, Jane Goodall was ready. She was ready to be done with this planet. She was ready to.
She's like,
and it's like, that's a thing we often, right? That's a binary. Oh, death is bad.
Death is bad. Death is a failure.
It's not always. That's another one where we can be like, oh,
live good.
Let's like look at that.
Yeah.
Like alive is good. Death, sick. It's like it's complicated.
It's all of these things. I said once to a client whose husband is autistic and so very black and white thinker, and I didn't mean to, but I was like, a dead person is not a failed live person, and she's like, that's amazing. That's the way we think of it because everything is black and white. It's so weird. Yeah.
And what you're saying, I love this thing about lyrics,
just
because what I often
lyrics.
say to people is, you have a feeling, anxiety or depression, and we attach it to something.
There you go.
Like the feeling usually comes first, and you attach it to something.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say is like, if black and white thinking is the mental illness, which is what you just laid out.
Yes.
One of the symptoms, my toughest symptoms, and it's not always a symptom, but a major symptom is rumination.
Yeah.
And that's the way rumination works, right?
Yes.
Is you have this, like, there's something going on that is like nuanced or gray.
Yes.
And you can't deal, or you don't want to face like what that might mean. So we ruminate over, am I good or am I bad? Is this person good or is this person bad? Is this choice good or is this choice bad? And my rumination would always switch. It would just morph and switch.
Oh, right.
And like onto different lyrics, right? And then and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And now I know that it starts with an emotional experience. It starts with a feeling.
Yes.
And then my brain starts ruminating to sort out the feeling, right? And so to the cure of that is this idea of ambivalence, or what I do now is, you bring yourself through a whole, like, many things can be true at once. What are the many things that are true? And then we have to get through the really hard part, which is just the, like, what do I want? What do I, because if there's no right way, if there's no judge in the sky, it's like, what do I want to do? Because that's the part that Jane Goodall talked about. That's the part that makes me me.
Yeah.
And if I do what Paula or my church or what anyone else thinks I should do, that's not me living my life.
No.
And so then I'm going to feel increasingly dead inside.
Totally.
And that's not great. And I wanted to just talk about this because it relates to what you were saying. I've been reading the book, The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, How to Deal with Distant, Rejecting, or Self-Involved Parents by Lisa Gibson. Let me tell you, I always thought I didn't need to read this book because I was like, I understand everything in this book.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me read it and make sure I'm not one. So I've been reading it, and it explains a lot about our boomer episode, but also about this good bad piece and why we ruminate. It says, for emotionally immature people, which on some level I believe is all Americans. I just want to be clear.
1,000%.
If this resonates with you, there's nothing wrong with you.
No.
Okay?
No.
For emotionally immature people, all interactions boil down to the question of whether they're good people or bad ones, which explains their extreme defensiveness if you try to talk to them about something they did. They often respond to even mild complaints about their behavior with an extreme statement like, well, then I must be the worst mother ever.
Right.
They would rather shut down communication than hear something that would make them feel like bad people. Right. And like that, or they do that, they make you bad. It's like this whole, and so.
Because it's all binaries.
That's how and it's like, we don't need to be there. It's like, we can all do not great things.
Right.
But the important thing is when somebody says, hey, I didn't love that, we just go, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I won't do that again.
Sure.
Like but if that defensiveness blocks, it just stops everything.
Because somebody had, like, villain, hero, good, bad, constantly, instead of like, we're all, this is why 17 times a day I say, we're all bozos on the bus. None of us know what the fuck we're doing. Nobody's the villain. Nobody's the hero. We're all, one time, like, being in a relationship with my partner helped me with this because I was raised by very black and white people. Something that I started to say to myself when he would say, like, that hurts my feelings, I would just have to say to myself, all right, well, everybody's the asshole sometimes. Everybody's the asshole sometimes. It's fine. It's okay. And if you have a level of self-forgiveness for yourself, if your relationship with yourself is such that you can allow for yourself to be the asshole sometimes, and you do not abandon yourself within that, then you can show up when people are like, hey, you really shit the bed. That was nice. And you could be like, yeah, word, totally. Thank you for sharing that.
If you can't, you're actually highly controllable.
Yes.
This is something that took me years to understand because I would work so hard. And this is even the part I have to own about my old therapy and why I was stuck in there for so long. If you are invested in everyone thinking that you are doing things right and that you are perfect,
oh my God,
you are so controllable because then all they have to say is, well, don't you think that makes you a little bit selfish? Well, and once somebody knows the buttons to push, and let me tell you, we all have some, that it's like, well, I don't want to be that. Then people can get you to do whatever they want you to do. And so part of what was one of the most liberating things for me was realizing like, oh, I'm actually okay sometimes being the bad guy. I can be the villain. Yeah. You know what? Sometimes I am a little bit selfish. Yes. You know what? Sometimes I do place myself above or whatever the thing is. I mean, it's used all the time in so many different ways. And it sets a trap.
Yes.
And we have to be able, but it's like if we're terrified of being Darth Vader, you're going to have a real narrow path to walk with people. And you can end up stuck, and you can also end up doing things that you actually don't want to do.
Yes.
And like you can be really manipulated. And I say this again, nothing wrong with you. I say this as someone who has been through this.
We've all been
and
through
like
this.
Sees this in myself.
Yes.
But it can be really important to just be like, oh yeah, you know what? Sometimes I am a bit of a jerk, and this might be one of those times. Sure. And you're allowed to be really mad at me, and you're allowed to think I'm a terrible person, and I get why you'd think I'm a terrible person. I still need to do this.
Yes.
And that is a hard thing to do.
Audre Lorde said, nothing that I accept about myself can be used against me to diminish me. If I accepted about myself,
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, being the youngest, like being a little sister, I was always so afraid of being annoying. And because I get really riled up about things, and I'm sure I'm just super annoying. Once I accepted that I think I'm very annoying because I'm like a know-it-all and I have big ideas and I have to say things in this weird way. But once I accepted it about myself and I was like, yeah, I'm probably super annoying sometimes. Okay. Right. Then I don't have to be so terrified. And it's not one thing. I'm sure I'm also not annoying sometimes because everybody is everything and it's okay. And if you're not trying to prove to anybody else that you're the good guy, that you're constantly the hero, Jesus, how fucking exhausting to prove to everyone all the time that you are the bestest friend or the goodest student or blah, blah, blah. That's exhausting.
Well, and one thing I've come to, it's part of why I do love groups, is like it's hard for me to imagine why you are annoying. I do not find you annoying.
Oh, thanks. That's nice.
I could text Carlo and he might have
he'll have a
ways.
list.
But we also bury, because I mean I have this like really strident kind of side to me that I can also feel like
You're
lot
a
of
Leo.
shame about. And
oh
what
my God.
and what I tell my clients is like what I say with the Audre Lorde thing is I will say like be unshameable.
Yes.
Not meaning like you're not gonna ever feel bad or you're like above guilt, but like that sometimes whatever you're annoying about is probably really important for someone to have at certain times.
Sure.
My stridentness has gotten me in a shit ton of trouble,
Yes,
and I have felt really shamed about ways it has shown up, and I have learned to harness it now in ways where I'm like, well, sometimes that's actually kind of a good thing, and it
Yes.
keeps the system like balanced and whole, coming back to the opposites. Like,
Yes.
and so if I say to myself, well, that part of you is really bad because one time you did that and it didn't go well and you should just never access that part of you. Well, that's not good because that's the part of me that also stands up against bullies and like takes care of,
Totally.
And so the system gets way out of balance if we're all one way.
Yes.
That's what I love about groups is you get this sense of like, oh, that perspective and you're like that and that kind of balances that. And good
Yes.
Lord, if we're all the same, this is going to be boring as hell and also probably get a little dangerous.
Yes.
Like not good.
Not good at all. I wanted to say about the like different lyrics thing. I have this conversation with so many, and maybe I've said this on here before, but I'm going to say it again, with so many of my clients who come into the body liberation or the fat liberation space, and then they just flip, right? So they've like spent their whole life being like, lettuce good, cookies bad, fat bad, thin good, right? And then they come and then like after a year of like eating nothing but donuts, great, good for you. They're like, I don't feel great. I think I might want to exercise. I'm like, okay. But they did it. They did the flip. Now they're like, I might want a salad. Is that okay? And I'm like, look, you're doing it right now. Like we're tearing it all
The salad
down.
police are going to come get you.
I'm going to tell
The
every fat
salad
friend I
police.
know that you want to eat a salad. It's like so fascinating. Our adherence to the black and white is we're so indoctrinated that then they do it the opposite way. And I'm like, okay, you're allowed to move your body when you stopped running 10 miles a day. I never assumed, I'm not like you're not allowed to exercise ever again. Like we're coming back to
It's
what
why
Jane,
you're doing it.
and Jane, what Jane
also,
Goodall
like,
said.
does it,
Does it
Do you want
resonate
to?
with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you doing it because you're thinking it's a should?
Yes.
The whole shoulds thing.
Exactly.
Is it a should? Or is it a like, this is what I want to do?
Yes.
Like we see this with people we've talked about with addiction, you know, and they go to AA and then it's like, well, I'm never supposed to trust myself. My inner self
So
is untrustworthy,
sad.
can never be listened to.
Right.
It is telling me this guy I'm dating might be a serial killer, but
I can't trust myself.
And you're just like, whoa, let's slow that down. Because
Right.
it's not.
We just
It's nothing.
switched-
Nothing is always or never.
Right.
Nothing is always or never.
You really switched seats on the Titanic there. We're still going the same place. Yeah. Yeah. There is a Buddhist story that I love that Ram Dass tells all the time, and I'll tell it quickly. So there was a man who lived on the countryside, and he had one son. And when his son came of age, like a horse showed up on his land, and the neighbor was like, "Oh my God, what good fortune, you got a horse." And the guy said, "Who's to know what is good and what is bad?" And then the son fell in love with the horse and rode the horse, and then fell off the horse and broke his leg. And then the neighbor was like, "Oh, what bad fortune you got." And the guy says, "Who's to say what is good and what is bad?" And then a war started. And then the soldiers came to take his son away to fight in the war. And the son couldn't go because he had broken leg. And who's to say what is good and what is bad? So it's like that space of that's why I love More Will Be Revealed, that I stole from 12 Steps. It's like you don't have to decide right now what is good and what is bad. You don't have to decide. More will be revealed. You will know more. And usually looking back, we're so much more able. I don't know about you. I know that looking back, I'm so much more able to be like, yep, it was all good. It was all bad. In the moment, I was like, I have to do this thing because this is the right thing. And I can't do that because that's the wrong thing. But then looking back, I have so much more compassion for my younger self. And I'm like, whatever. That was a decision I made. That's fine.
And what I have found is when I was in my black and white like fugue state or kind of programming state,
Totally.
I found that it wasn't very interesting to look back on my life because I had to like block out
Oh,
whole
it's so
parts or I had to be
boring.
like, that's not. And I found that life is way more interesting
Ah,
when you can just be like, oh, isn't that thing that I thought was a total shit show and felt like so bad about 3 years ago? Turns out 3 years later, yeah, there's still parts of it that are not, but man, some interesting things came out of that. And what an
Yes.
and now I learned some things about myself. I learned some things about other people. It led to this. I have this new relationship. Like that it's so much more interesting to not look
Absolutely.
at it it's like if you're not trying to judge it all, you can see so much more.
Yes.
And just be like, "Oh, wasn't that weird what that all led to?" Like
It really is like you're seeing everything in black and white. It's almost as if it's in black and white instead of in color, instead of how it actually is. Yes.
Paula, just bringing it home.
Just
with
bringing it home. It's almost as if
the
you were
obvious. With these so obvious.
Was that a metaphor? No, that's not even a metaphor.
No, that was just actual.
I mean, it really is like you were in Kansas and then you were in Oz. Yeah. And I think this is why, and we have it written on here, this is why we both love improv, because improv trains your
Yes.
brain out of black and white thinking, right? The whole thing of improv is yes and, yes and, yes and.
Yes.
And it bounces up against that black or white. And like, I have to make a good scene and it has to be a funny scene. And nope. All you have to do is show up and
Nope.
say yes and. And it's so good for your brain. It's so hard for a lot of people. It gets harder. It was easy for me when I was a kid, and then it was really hard for me when I was in my 20s, which is when I was starving myself. Interesting. And then it's gotten easier for me as I've gotten older again. You know, it's sort of like that weird timeline thing. But yeah, the yes and, yes and, yes and.
Yeah, and I say to people always, like there were many factors, but I do think that improv cured, or at least was the beginning of curing because you came to it much younger. I didn't come to it till I was like an adult, but
Yeah.
it really did neurologically rewire, I believe, that part of my brain. And then, and now we understand more about why, but it absolutely, because I didn't know how to play. I mean, it really, and you're in black and white thinking when it feels narrow and rigid and it's not playful.
Yes.
And I still have reactions to play where I'm like, I mean, everybody probably is like, no, Lisa could never. And I'm like, because I teach it but it's like, I teach it and I'm so embedded in it because I need it so badly.
Like, we teach what we want to
learn. It's like we teach what we need to learn. And it literally did rewire that part of my brain because I was literally like, what? I'm sorry. It's not about, I remember when I got to improv, the head of at that time, Washington Improv Theater was Topher Bellavia, who I met via a friend. And I said to Topher, he was like, oh, because he was always trying to sell improv classes. He was like, you should take an improv class because he never had full classes yet. And I remember saying to him, do you swear to me I won't be the worst person in the class? Do you swear?
Right?
And he just looked at me like, what are you talking about? Like, there is no worse. There is no, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? I don't know. That can't be right. But if you swear to me, and so I went into the class like, okay, am I the worst? And that was, I mean, like, what weird.
But that's how
but that was the beginning of like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
good, bad.
And everything has to be good or bad as opposed to like, and then Pete Bergen said to me, he was like, oh, are you going to take level 2? And I was like, no, I don't think I'm very good. And he said to me, but are you enjoying it? And I was like, that matters?
What a question.
What are you talking about? Isn't it about
question.
how I do? What's going on? Yeah.
That's,
Those are my favorite.
Yoga is the same thing, right? Yoga is so good for Western brains because it's like, it's not about whether or not you're good at it. Nobody's good at it. That's not what this is about. Yeah. It's about the experience of it. Yeah. I was just thinking, we were talking about playing. I think I mentioned before that we adopted another dog about 3 months ago, little Debbie. and when you were talking about playing, and she didn't know how to play when she first got here. And so Agador and Gloria are like, go up to her and they're like, come on, girl, let's play. And she's like, what? Like she doesn't know how to do it. But as she's relaxed, talk about a metaphor, as she's relaxed and she feels safe and she knows that she's not going to, because she came from a really horrible place. She knows that she's safe. She knows she's being taken care of. She's learned, the other doggies are teaching her how to play. Oh, I love that metaphor. It reminds me, I was thinking more about the when we were getting ready for this episode, the feeling safe, right? And again, to create black and white, to feel safe when no black and white actually exists, right? Like you are creating the fearful state in which you have to keep perpetuating the fear. You're creating the anxiety, which creates more anxiety, which creates more anxiety. Yeah. So Debbie's playing more. She's so cute.
I love that.
I know.
The information on kids and play, also in stress, and how I've learned so much from just about autism and the ways that, and not to say that any way that you play is good or bad, but when you make kids really comfortable and make them feel safe, their brains can do more and they can play more. And it's been so interesting to see that correlation. And I think that is just, or if maybe we're no longer trying to explain black and white thinking, but we are trying to entice people.
Oh, I like the word
to
entice.
Have the experience of what it can feel like to get out of it. And I had to get out of it in this controlled improv place, right? Before it could even be fully applied in my life. Because we have to, that's also how they do it with kids, interestingly.
But that's true, right? I love the things that say, you're a good parent when your kid feels comfortable being weird as fuck. Yes.
In which case, I am really
then
winning.
You're killing it. You are killing it. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people know that I love my Emmanuel books. I know, Lisa, you started reading the first one. And so there's a whole, this is the second book. And he has a whole section, he, she, they, whatever, has a whole section about yes, that the answer of your life is yes. And so, they're always asking Emmanuel, what are we doing here? What is this whole human experience about? What the fuck is this all about? And so,
can you explain for a minute who Emmanuel is?
Oh, yeah.
So people know.
Fucked up my microphone. Emmanuel is a being. He's like a bodhisattva, if you know what that is in Buddhism. He is a being that doesn't have to come into a human body anymore. He has reached a level of enlightenment that he doesn't have to come down here and learn any more lessons. So we're still in the schoolroom, but he has graduated. And he speaks through he's a friend of Ram Dass's, and the way Ram Dass talks about him is Emmanuel is my friend who doesn't have a body. And so, which is so great. And he speaks through
Of course
medium.
You love that.
I love that so much. That is the ideal body. Yeah. So he says, she says, they say, your planet, your universe is an arena of consciousness that allows for you to create juxtapositions. It allows you to create, if you want, darkness and light, good and bad, yes and no. This is all designed to aid you in understanding the power of your own infinite yes. The power of your own love, the power of your own oneness, the power of your own expansion, which you are seeking to recall into the cellular consciousness of this body this time. Isn't that good? So it's
wow.
The universe in her infinite wisdom has given us permission to create these binaries if we want to, but we create them so that we can know the power of our own infinite yes. So good.
So interesting.
Isn't that awesome?
Well, I like that idea of you need light to understand dark. You need dark to understand, but it's we don't want to get stuck in them.
Exactly.
Even Vader was both, guys.
Exactly.
We don't want to get stuck.
Yes.
Things are complicated.
Carlo and I get stuck in those places because I feel over the last 20 years pulled him out of his ancestral Catholicism binary thinking, because whenever we're watching anything, he'll want to figure out who the villain is, or figure out who this is, and I'm like, or I don't know, or this, and he's like, shut up, Paula, all of your infinite possibilities.
I have to think about this. Well, then I will say, because I had it in the chit chat, but just really quickly, if you do want a book to practice, I don't know if it was written by a white or a black person, but The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a good start. I'm going to send it to you because it's all about the poems. I'm sending it to you.
Oh.
But it's a really interesting novel about somebody who you can't quite tell, right? She's very clear about, I'm not a good person or a bad person. I just made the choices that I wanted to make throughout my life. And she really owns that. And the white girl she's having the interactions with is working to be like, no, you're a good person. You're a good person. You're a good person. And it's very interesting is like a little primer, I think. If it's also just a really quick, fun read, but it's a really good kind of primer into this sort of thinking where it's just like, this is just somebody living their life and we don't even need to judge it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
who cares?
We can,
but
like, there's no way to like, the calculations are all so complicated. I couldn't figure out a way to judge her. It's like, maybe I can just know her and like understand and learn about her life and her choices and how complicated they were. That feels better than trying to judge her. So
that's
anyway,
like my teacher Rama that I've talked about, my yoga teacher that my mom and I shared. She's like this magical creature and people put her up on a pedestal constantly because she was like not from this planet. She was amazing, but she had 5 husbands. And she loved to bring that up all the time in like this playful way because people would say, people would be like, oh my God, Rama, thank you for your presence and blah, 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 and like shower her with all this stuff. And she'd be like, well, my 3rd husband used to say, and it was like so good. I was like, good for you to play with that like goodness thing, of like a good woman.
It's therapists deal with it too. It's part of why that people want therapists to be a blank slate or us to be perfect.
Right.
And it's like, so we always just want to be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, guys. My life is
I don't know what you should do. Who the fuck am I? Yeah. Great. If you have questions or comments or anything about black and white thinking or the history of black and white thinking in our weird imperialistic nonsense country, but be free to send that to us. And we are still hoping for more of your therapist horror stories if you have them. We've also kind of opened it up to like just boomer horror stories if you want.
Fascism horror stories.
We might be inundated.
We're open,
right? We might be just inundated with such things. But please like us and thumbs up us and ring our bell. And you can find us on all the Instagrams and TikToks. And thanks for listening. Bye.
This podcast and any written materials related to it represent the opinions of Paula Atkinson and Lisa K and our guests to the show and any written materials. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. It is for informational and educational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. In no way does listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient relationship.